Sherman Antitrust Act, 1890. The Sherman Antitrust Act of 1890 was the first measure passed by the U.S. Congress to prohibit trusts. It was named for Senator John Sherman of Ohio, who was a chairman of the Senate Finance Committee and the Secretary of the Treasury under President Hayes. Several states had passed similar laws, but they were limited to interstate businesses. The Sherman Antitrust Act was based on the constitutional power of Congress to regulate interstate commerce. For more background, see previous milestone documents, the Constitution, Gibbons versus Ogden, and the Interstate Commerce Act. The Sherman Antitrust Act passed by the Senate by a vote of 51-1 on April 8, 1890, and the House by a unanimous vote of 242-0 on June 20, 1890. President Benjamin Harrison signed the bill into law on July 2, 1890. A voice in the dark, Lori Elliots. We do not consent. We are the human race. Many colors, many cultures, many religions, one race. Let us not forget, this country belongs to the people, not big business or a handful of men and women. The Sherman Act authorized the federal government to institute proceedings against trust in order to dissolve them. Any combination in the form of trust or otherwise that was in restraint of trade or commerce among the several states or with foreign nations was declared illegal. Persons forming such combinations were subject to fines of $5,000 and a year in jail. Individuals and companies suffering losses because of trusts were permitted to sue in federal court for triple damages. The Sherman Act was designed to restore competition, but was loosely worded and failed to define such critical terms as trust, combination, conspiracy, and monopoly. 5 years later, the Supreme Court dismantled the Sherman Act in the United States, B versus E.C. Knight Company, 1895. The court ruled that the American Sugar Refining Company, one of the other defendants in the case, had not violated the law, even though the company controlled about 98% of all sugar refining in the United States. The court opinion reasoned that the company's control of manufacture did not constitute a control of trade. Become the person who fights for our rights, not propaganda. Start learning and challenging the government. It can be done. The court's ruling in E.C. Knight seemed to end any government regulation of trusts. In spite of this, during President Theodore Roosevelt's trust-busting campaigns at the turn of the century, the Sherman Act was used with considerable success. In 1904, the court upheld the government's suit to dissolve the Northern Securities Company in state of Minnesota versus Northern Securities Company. By 1911, President Taft had used the act against the Standard Oil Company and the American Tobacco Company. In the late 1990s, in another effort to ensure a competitive free market system, the federal government used the Sherman Act, then over 100 years old, against the giant Microsoft computer software company. We the people of the United States of America. Just some thoughts on how to start going about changing our government. Back to the people. Back to better wages, better pricing, and Lord knows, better quality. May we educate ourselves enough to know how it all works and how it should work. We deserve the inalienable rights to safety, clean work environments, unions, and free trade and commerce. We have these rights. Let us not lose them over us not valuing our input and worthiness our forefathers and mothers fought for. Blessings and love, Lori.